I've female 31, been lurking here for a while, but never thought I'd actually need to post. Sorry in advance because this is probably going to be super long, but I'm honestly at my breaking point and don't know what to do anymore. So basically, my older brother Nathan, male 34, has always been the golden child in our family. Like, always. Growing up, it was just so obvious that my parents favored him in literally everything. Not to sound whiny or whatever, but the difference in how they treated us was pretty extreme sometimes. For example, and this still bugs me even though it was forever ago, when I turned 16, my parents got me a $50 gift card to the mall, which fine, whatever. But when Nathan turned 16 just 2 years before, they bought him a freaking car. Not even a new one or anything, but still, a car versus a gift card. When I asked about it, they were like, well, he needs it for sports and activities, as if I didn't also do extracurriculars. I played volleyball and was in debate club, but apparently that didn't count for some reason. This pattern continued basically my whole life. Nathan got his entire college paid for, apartment, spending money, everything. Meanwhile, I worked 25 to 30 hours a week at Starbucks the entire time I was in school and took out loans. And they acted like this was just normal, like this was how it should be. Anyway, fast forward to now. About 3 years ago, I managed to save enough for a down payment and bought a 3-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood. It was honestly my proudest accomplishment. I worked so hard for this, but when I told my parents, they were just like, why do you need such a big place? No congratulations, no excitement, just questioning my decision. I remember calling my friend Tara, female 30, after and crying because I was so hurt by their reaction. Speaking of Tara, she ended up becoming my roommate to help with expenses. We have a formal rental agreement, she pays fair market rent, and she's been the perfect roommate for 3 years now. She's super respectful of my space, cleans up after herself, pays on time. Honestly, the best living situation I could ask for. So here's where the drama starts. About a month ago, Nathan's wife, Vanessa, female 33, found out he was cheating on her with his administrative assistant. She found explicit texts and photos on his phone while he was in the shower one morning and then confronted him about it at a company event in front of everyone. He got suspended from work temporarily because of it. Vanessa kicked him out and he stayed in a hotel for like 1 week. Then suddenly he couldn't afford it anymore, even though he makes 6 figures as a sales exec. My cousin told me Nathan's been spotted at expensive bars multiple times during all this. So, yeah. He moved in with our parents temporarily, but knowing them and how they've always babied him, I figured this would end up being a long-term thing. Then about 2 weeks ago, I got a call from my parents. It started off normal enough, but got weird real fast. My mom asked how Tara and I were doing in that big house of mine. She always says it like that, super condescending. I said we were doing great. Then she started saying stuff about how I have extra space that could be better utilized, and I immediately knew something was up. Then my dad got on the phone and told me they needed me to ask Tara to move out. I asked why I would do that after she's been the perfect roommate for 3 years, and my mom said Nathan needs a place to stay until things get better with Vanessa. I pointed out that Nathan created his own problems by cheating on his wife, and my dad dismissed it as just a mistake and said families should help each other. My mom kept saying Nathan shouldn't have to pay rent during this difficult time, while I tried to explain that I can't just disrupt Tara's whole living situation. My dad said it's just business for Tara and she can find another apartment. I told them I actually own the house outright, and they seemed shocked and asked how I could afford it, which shows how much attention they pay to my life. I finally just said no, I will not kick Tara out. And furthermore, Nathan is banned from staying at my house due to his history of being irresponsible, and they just exploded. They called me selfish and ungrateful. My dad said, after everything we've done for you. My mom started crying and saying I'll regret this decision and they might cut me out of their will. Lol, as if I'm counting on any inheritance from them. I got pretty emotional as the call went on, but tried to stand my ground. It ended with my mom crying and my dad telling me I'm dead to them until I reconsider. Since then, my mom has been contacting every member of our extended family, telling them I abandoned my brother in his time of need. My phone has been blowing up with texts from aunts and uncles and cousins I barely even talk to. Nathan has been texting me too, switching between saying sorry and being a jerk. He said I've always been jealous of him and his success, which is rich considering I own my house outright at 31, and he's homeless at 34, despite making way more money than me. I know I shouldn't feel guilty about this. I mean, I worked hard for my house. Tara is a great roommate who pays rent on time, and Nathan is only in this situation because he cheated on his wife. But after years of being told to put family first and being made to feel like I'm always the problem, I don't know. I keep checking my phone to see if my parents have texted. I've been crying myself to sleep some nights, even though I know I'm not doing anything wrong. My dad hasn't said anything since the big fight, which makes me think maybe he's coming around to my side. Probably not, but a girl can hope. Am I being too harsh? Should I just suck it up and help my brother? I honestly don't care what my family thinks. Okay, that's a lie. I obviously do care a little bit, but I just can't see how what they're asking is reasonable at all. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up while I was at work. Thanks for all the responses. To answer some common questions. 1. No, Tara doesn't know about any of this drama. I haven't told her because I don't want her to feel uncomfortable or think her living situation is at risk. 2. Several people asked about Nathan's spending habits. From what I know, he and Vanessa lived pretty fancy. Expensive vacations, new cars every few years, designer clothes. 3. For those saying I should check my credit report, already did. Thankfully, nothing suspicious there. 4. And yes, this is unfortunately real. I know it sounds like I'm making my parents out to be cartoon villains or something, but this is genuinely how they've always been with Nathan versus me. I think part of it is that he was their first child, and part of it is that he's always been more charming and outgoing, while I'm more reserved. Edit 2. I just got another text from my mom saying, I raised you better than this. I'm honestly shaking right now. How is this what breaks our relationship after all these years? I've always tried so hard to be a good daughter despite everything, and it's like nothing I do is ever enough. Now, for the first update. So first, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. Honestly, wasn't expecting that many responses, and it really helped me feel less crazy about this whole situation. Sorry I didn't reply to everyone individually. Things have gotten so much worse, and I've been kind of overwhelmed with everything. It's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and my family situation has basically turned into a complete nightmare. My parents have launched what I can only describe as a OP is literally the devil movement. My mom has called every single member of our extended family to tell them how heartless and selfish I am for not helping my brother during his time of need. 2 of my aunts, my uncle, and like 4 or 5 cousins have all called me in the past week trying to talk some sense into me. Most of them didn't even bother to hear my side before starting in with the guilt trips. My Aunt Linda, who I used to be pretty close with, actually told me I was breaking your mother's heart and should be ashamed of myself. I tried explaining the situation, but she just kept talking over me about family obligations and stuff. I honestly just hung up on her eventually because what else could I do? Oh, and our annual family reunion is happening in June, and I've never missed one since I was like 8, but now I'm super anxious about going. Like, what am I supposed to do? Sit there while everyone whispers about me? But if I don't go, they'll just use that as more proof that I'm the bad guy. I basically can't win either way. Nathan has been telling everyone that I'm just jealous of his success and have always hated Vanessa, which is so ridiculous because I always made a point to welcome Vanessa into the family and try to get to know her. I invited them to every holiday dinner at my place, sent birthday cards, everything. Meanwhile, Nathan has literally never shown any interest in my life. He didn't even come to my housewarming party 3 years ago, but I'm supposed to give up my house for him now. Make it make sense. I definitely don't need my parents' approval anymore. I'm 31 years old and have my own life, and I'm doing fine without their validation. But I still find myself checking their Facebook pages like every day to see if they've posted anything about me. I know that's pathetic, but I can't help it. Yesterday, my mom posted some quote about true family never turns their back on each other, which was obviously about me, but she didn't tag me or anything, so I guess she was just being passive-aggressive. They're also threatening to skip my birthday next month, which would be the first time ever. Not that I care that much. I mean, it's just a birthday, right? But they've never missed one before. Even when I lived across the state for college, they always made the drive up. So it actually does hurt that they'd skip it over this. But whatever. Tara already said she'll take me out for dinner and drinks, so it's fine, I guess. So here's where things got really interesting. Vanessa, Nathan's wife, texted me out of the blue asking if we could meet for coffee. I was kind of shocked, honestly, because we've never hung out just the 2 of us before. I said yes because I was curious what she wanted to talk about. I got to the cafe first and was super nervous waiting for her. When she arrived, she looked really tired and stressed out, which I guess makes sense given everything. I awkwardly told her I was sorry about everything with Nathan, and she just gave me this look that I couldn't really read. She told me I was the only one in my family who's being honest right now, which totally confused me. I asked what she meant, and oh my freaking God, you guys. She told me this is actually the third affair of Nathan's that she knows about, not the first. I was completely shocked because I had never heard anything about previous cheating. She explained that the other incidents were all concealed by my parents, who told Vanessa they were just misunderstandings and that she was overreacting. After the first affair, like 4 years ago, my parents actually convinced her to forgive him and even paid for couples counseling for them. But according to Vanessa, they only went to one session before Nathan refused to go back. She said she should have left after the second affair, which happened about 2 years ago, but she wanted to make it work. When I asked why she was telling me all this now, she revealed that Nathan has over $40,000 in credit card debt that my parents don't even know about. I couldn't believe it. All this time I thought Nathan was so successful with his fancy job and nice car. Speaking of his car, Vanessa told me my parents have been making the payments on it for years. What the actual F? All while my mom has been making those snide comments about my big house and how I didn't need so much space. Vanessa thanked me for standing my ground against my family. She said I was stronger than she was, and she wished she'd set better boundaries years ago. The whole conversation left me feeling like I'd stepped into the Twilight Zone or something. After meeting with Vanessa, I called my mom to try to verify some of this info. Big mistake. She immediately accused me of choosing sides against family and refused to discuss any of it. But during the call, I found out my parents have a fully furnished guest room, but are claiming they don't want the disruption of Nathan staying with them long term. Are you kidding me? Later, my Aunt Susan, Dad's sister, let slip that my parents have been telling people they can't accommodate Nathan because my dad has back problems, which is a complete lie. My dad goes golfing like 3 times a week. I had honestly thought they were genuinely worried about Nathan's emotional well-being during this difficult time, but now I realize they just don't want the inconvenience of having him live with them. This whole thing reminded me of when I was in college and briefly needed a place to stay between apartments. They told me the house was too small for me to move back home. Yet they converted my bedroom into a home gym literally the month after I left for college. But Nathan's needs are apparently different somehow. Oh, and get this. While I was going through some old papers, I found a letter from my grandmother with a check for $1,000 that was supposed to be a small inheritance for me when I graduated college. My parents never gave it to me or even mentioned it. The check was obviously expired by now, but what the hell? Did they just keep it from me on purpose? I honestly don't even know what to think anymore about them. Tara has been super supportive through all this. She actually told me she was once displaced by a friend's brother moving in unexpectedly, and she ended up basically homeless for a few weeks until she found another place to live. No wonder she was so grateful when I told her I refused to kick her out. She even offered to increase her rent payment to help me deal with the family pressure, which was so sweet, but obviously I refused. Tara's been kind of quiet some evenings, and I thought maybe she was judging me for all this family drama, but she finally told me she's just been stressed about potentially getting laid off at her job. I feel bad for being so self-absorbed that I didn't even notice she was struggling too. We actually bought a new couch together last weekend, which I definitely wouldn't have done with a temporary roommate. We're both committed to our living arrangement for the long term, and it's such a relief to have that stability. I started seeing a therapist to deal with all this family pressure. She's helping me see stuff from my childhood that wasn't right, like how I got grounded for 2 weeks when I got an AI in algebra while Nathan was taken out for ice cream for passing classes with C's because he tried his best. Like, how is that even fair? I still feel guilty sometimes about the whole situation with Nathan, but I'm becoming more certain that maintaining my boundaries is the right thing to do. It's weird how when you've been conditioned your whole life to put everyone else first, setting normal boundaries feels like you're being terrible and selfish even when you're not. My dad actually texted me briefly yesterday asking about tax deadlines. I'm an accountant. I got so excited thinking maybe this was his way of reaching out that I sent back this really enthusiastic, detailed response. only to realize he was just using my professional knowledge without any intention of actually reconciling. He didn't even say thanks, just okay after I spent like 20 minutes writing everything out. I felt so stupid for getting my hopes up. So yeah, that's where things stand right now. The situation is still really bad, but I think I'm starting to see my family dynamics more clearly than ever before. I honestly don't know what this means for our relationship long term. Part of me hopes we can eventually find some new normal, but another part wonders if that's even possible or healthy at this point. Edit. Some people are asking if my parents contributed anything to my college education or house down payment. Absolutely nothing. They paid Nathan's entire tuition, apartment, and spending money, but told me I needed to learn financial independence. I worked at Starbucks 25 to 30 hours a week during college and took out loans. Edit 2. Holy crap, this blew up again. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, I've thought about sending my parents the link to these posts, but I'm afraid it would just make things worse. As many of you pointed out, they'd probably just focus on me airing family business online rather than the actual issues. 2. For those wondering about the birthday thing, my birthday is May 18th, so it's coming up soon. And I've already decided I'm going to plan something fun with friends instead of waiting for my family. 3. A lot of you are suggesting I cut contact with my family entirely. I understand why, but it's complicated. Despite everything, they're still my parents, and part of me still hopes they'll eventually see things differently. Number 4. Several people asked if I've talked to Tara about everything. I've told her the basics, but not all the details. She knows my family is pressuring me, but doesn't know about all the nasty messages, etc. I don't want her to feel guilty or responsible in any way. Number 5. Thank you to everyone suggesting therapy. I've already started seeing someone, and it's definitely helping me process all of this. Like a few commenters said, it's hard to recognize toxic family patterns when they're all you've ever known. Now for the second update. So it's been almost 3 months since my last post, and honestly I've been putting off this update. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who commented on my previous posts. Okay, so a lot has happened. Where do I even start? So Nathan finally got his own place about a month and a half ago. Turns out my parents ended up co-signing a lease for him in this sketchy apartment complex across town. They also paid his security deposit and first month's rent, because of course they did. The best part, after he signed the lease, Nathan texted me asking if he could have some of the furniture I don't use in my big house because his place was empty. I couldn't even respond at first. Like, are you kidding me right now? After everything, I eventually just told him no and left it at that. My cousin Jen told me Nathan has been telling my parents that I actually did initially offer to let him stay, but then changed my mind to be mean once he got his hopes up, which is a complete lie. I never once offered him to stay at my place. Not once. This just confirmed for me that keeping my distance was the right decision. As for my parents, they completely stopped speaking to me for about 6 weeks after everything went down. Like, total silence. Then, out of nowhere, my dad texted me in early July with some tax questions. I'm still an accountant even when I'm dead to them, I guess. Since then, we've had these super formal, awkward text exchanges about practical stuff. My mom still makes these passive-aggressive comments whenever we do talk. She'll say stuff like how nice it is that I have all that space to myself, or that family should always come first. There was this super awkward family gathering for the 4th of July at my aunt's house. I almost didn't go, but decided last minute that skipping it would just give them more ammunition against me. I spent way too long picking out my outfit. Why do I still care what they think? And did my makeup all nice, then spent the entire time feeling like everyone was whispering about me. At one point, I overheard my mom telling my aunt that I was just going through a phase and would come around eventually, which made me want to scream. Like, this isn't a phase, Mom. It's called having basic self-respect. So anyway, there have been some pretty major developments with Nathan's situation. Vanessa filed for divorce after she discovered even more financial stuff he'd been hiding from her. Apparently, he had emptied their retirement accounts without telling her. Who does that? My cousin told me Vanessa's lawyer found out he'd taken out almost $60,000 that she didn't know about. I can't even imagine how betrayed she must feel. And then, he lost his job about a month ago. The administrative assistant he was having the affair with filed some kind of HR complaint about how he gave her special treatment during their relationship, but then started treating her badly after they broke up. The company did an investigation and ended up firing him. so now he's unemployed and getting divorced. My parents are apparently paying for his attorney, which is putting a huge strain on their finances. My mom mentioned having to cancel a vacation they'd planned for August, but of course she had to mention that family comes first when she told me about it. Here's something interesting. My Uncle Dan, Dad's brother, actually reached out to me privately after the July 4th thing. We went for coffee, and he told me that he went through almost the exact same thing growing up that I did. Apparently my dad was the golden child in their family too. And Uncle Dan was always the responsible one who got overlooked. He said watching my situation with Nathan was like seeing his own past. That conversation helped me understand so much about why my dad is the way he is. Like, this is literally a pattern that keeps repeating. Uncle Dan and I have been texting pretty regularly since then, and it's been really nice having someone in the family who actually gets it. So the biggest thing that happened was about 2 weeks ago. I was just chilling at home on a Sunday afternoon, still in my pajamas at like 2 p.m., because why not, when the doorbell rang. I opened it and nearly had a heart attack because both my parents were standing there. They've literally never shown up at my house without calling first. I invited them in because what else was I going to do? And my mom immediately said something about how I've done well for myself, considering what exactly, that you gave me zero help. But I just said thanks because I didn't want to start a fight right away. My dad didn't waste any time getting to the point. He told me Nathan was in serious financial trouble and needed help. I immediately felt my guard go up because I knew exactly where this was heading. I asked why they were coming to me about this, and my mom said Nathan needed just a small loan to get back on his feet. I tried to keep my face neutral when I asked how much they were talking about. My dad reluctantly said they were hoping for $15,000. I almost laughed out loud. I asked if they were contributing too, and they exchanged this super awkward look before my mom said they'd already done so much for him. I just straight up asked why they thought I should give money to someone who lied about me to them. My dad got all defensive, saying this wasn't what it was about and families forgive and all that. I stayed calm. Honestly, I was kind of proud of myself and told them I would not be providing any financial support to Nathan, period. Then my mom started crying, like actual tears. She said I'd changed and become cold and calculating, which is hilarious because I'm literally an accountant. My dad stood up and raised his voice about my responsibility to family while I just sat there. I told him my responsibility was to myself and my own financial security. My mom made a comment about how they'll remember this when writing their will. I almost laughed because, really, that's the threat. I just said I'd built my life without their financial support and could continue doing so. My dad grabbed my mom's arm and told me I'd made my choice and they would figure something else out. As they were leaving, my mom said she never thought her daughter would turn her back on family, which I guess was supposed to make me feel guilty, but honestly, I just felt tired. After they left, I was shaking, but also felt stronger, like I stood my ground and didn't fall apart. I found out later from Jen that they'd actually approached several other family members for loans for Nathan, and everyone refused. So I wasn't even their first choice, just their last resort. Charming. Nathan texted me a few days after their visit saying, "Thanks for nothing," which, whatever, dude. I didn't respond. It reminded me of when I lent him $200 in college that he swore he'd pay back in 2 weeks. When I asked for it like a month later, he straight up claimed he never borrowed it. The money wasn't even the point. It was the fact that he just lied about it so easily. Should have seen the pattern back then, I guess. As for me, I'm actually doing really well. Tara and I just renewed our rental agreement for another 2 years. She got a promotion at work, so the layoff scare is over, and we've been doing these fun cooking challenges on weekends where we take turns picking a fancy recipe to try. Way better than family drama. I've gotten closer with my Uncle Dan and a few cousins who supported me through all this. And I've continued therapy, which has been really helpful for figuring out how to set boundaries in other relationships too. My therapist says I have a tendency to be a people pleaser. Shocker, I know, and we've been working on that. I ran into Vanessa at Starbucks last week, which was kind of awkward, but actually turned out nice. She looked good, way happier than when I saw her a few months ago. She told me she started dating someone new who treats her really well. Good for her. She deserves so much better than Nathan. Things with my parents are still pretty strained. We text occasionally, but it's all surface level stuff. It's created some awkwardness with certain relatives who are trying to stay neutral, especially with holidays coming up. I honestly have no idea what Thanksgiving or Christmas will look like this year. My birthday was last week, and my mom just texted, "Happy birthday," with no emoji or anything. For a second, I thought maybe it was a step toward reconciliation, but then, nothing. No call, no card, nothing else. It stung more than I expected it to. But honestly, despite all the lingering issues, standing up for myself was absolutely necessary for my mental health and self-respect. I've realized that sometimes being the bad guy in someone else's story means you're finally the hero in your own. And that's okay. Thank you all again for your support throughout this whole mess. Your comments and advice help me more than you know.